We're here today to talk about relationships and how to make your relationship better. This is Cheryl Aronson on the road to your heart, and we're here today to talk about relationships and how to make your relationship better. And I am with a dear friend of mine. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Michael Berlin, and it's a pleasure to be here with you, as always.
Thank you. Well, Michael, I thought we'd talk about parenting today. We're both parents. We both have boys and girls in their 30s. Parenting is a big subject when it comes to relationships, right?
Where does one begin?
Yeah.
It's parenting, I think, on a good day is hard.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for parents to be on the same page.
Okay, let's start right there. I think this is the best place to start because a lot of times we romanticize becoming parents. Oh, I'm going to be a parent. It's going to just be wonderful. I won't make the same mistakes my parents made with me. But children do need, now, of course, when they're babies, but they do need discipline, rules, and so on.
I will second that 100 times. It is incredibly important for kids to have boundaries and structure. It makes them feel safe. They may push back against it. Mm-hmm. That's their job. Their job is to be kids.
Right.
Our job as parents and the adults is really to hold. And you and I talked about this before. To me personally, health and safety are non-discussions.
Exactly.
That's where I draw the line. The other stuff, you have to have a little give and take. Yes, they'll break some rules. Yes, they'll push. You don't have to push back against everything, or else at some point they've had enough and you've had enough. But I think when it comes to safety issues or real health issues, you have to hold the line. You have to make it clear you are the responsible adult.
Yes. So when you decide, you want to become a parent and have a child, I think it's important, again, to do your vision together. Like, what's your vision of what parenting looks like? Because if we come from different families, different backgrounds, we might have very different ideas. And what tends to happen, I know for me in my practice, is I'll get a couple that, now they're fighting over the parenting of their children. And sometimes it also can be from a step family as well. There's a lot of different
family configurations.
Yeah, family configurations about it.
Yeah. The other thing I think, and you can probably speak to this better than I can, which is before you have kids, you have this conversation about, what will parenting look like and whatever. And then the children arrive. All bets are off.
Guess why? You're tired. A lot of mothers now want to breastfeed, and breastfeeding, again, great for the baby's health, but a lot of times women don't actually know what they're getting into. I see it so much burnout, and I want to breastfeed my child, which is great. But then the husband, maybe he's now working and the mother's taking some leave and, to bring up the child and breastfeed. I think the husband doesn't realize how burnt out the mother can become.
Here's the simple test, which is one day dad is home with the kids.
Right.
You understand from the inside how hard it is to be a parent, to be a parent at home, especially with young kids who you have to watch them every minute.
Exactly. So I think the best thing, again, if you're deciding, if you're deciding to become a parent now, again, have a conversation. And if mother is feeling really burnt out, but she still wants to do everything, she's not getting sleep, she's breast pumping, maybe she's going to work and pumping. Right. Let's have a conversation. How you doing, honey? How's it going? Can I help you with anything? Exactly.
And the other thing is, I think it puts our values to the test, which is, you and I may come as a couple from different places, and we were brought up differently. And now we see the kids play out those scenarios, and you go one direction and I go a slightly different. And kids are very good at picking up, who am I going to go to? You say, no, I'm going to find Dad.
Nah, they never do that. Of course they do.
Well, it's funny. You say to them, well, what did Mom say? Oh, what doesn't matter. You know what I mean? They're going right for it. That's when you know, they're playing both sides. Kids are very smart and very intuitive.
Yes, they are. So we're starting off maybe at the baby stage. Okay, what we have to do as a couple, again, is communication. I, as the woman, am able to tell you, oh my God, I'm so tired. Now, a lot of times, all the father can do, if I'm breast pumping, then you can do one of the feedings, etc. But the woman needs to be able to say it, and the man is able to receive it, that, okay, this is very, very stressful on my wife here.
Well, yes. And, I think the other thing is it puts the strength of a couple to the test. Because I think, I say this as a man, I know, if my wife or if the mom is either breastfeeding and or really taking care of the child most of the time, at least initially, you sort of feel left out.
Okay.
It was just the two of you before. Right. And so you have this sort of, not perfect, but you have a nice small cocoon of two.
Yes.
And then suddenly, here's an extension of this.
Sure.
You have a child, and then you say, you're going to have a sister or brother. You would like them, and people will ask you, how they respond. Oh, they're excited. They love it. In truth, if they give it any thought, their response really is, who is this stranger?
Exactly.
I had the whole pie. I had both my parents. Now I barely have one of them. Right. They're so busy with this little stranger who makes noise and carries on and demands everything. Why would I want a sibling? Why would I want a sister or brother?
Right.
And I think as a parent and as a dad, if mom is sort of early on the major caregiver, you start to feel the same way. And I think that communication, what you're talking about, is incredibly important.
It is. I love that you're talking about this, because I think, again, as parents, we got to be aware, yes, if we have another child, that child also needs our attention. Can't be full-on attention, but we still pay attention and not just focus on the cute little baby there, right?
And also, as one parent to another, you can't be the third child in this scenario. You have to also be the responsible adult.
Right. Okay. So parenting is stressful. It can burn both parents out, for sure. Let's go back again to rules of the home. What I do with couples, which I like to do, is go, do you have a parenting plan? What?
I was going to say, plan? Rarely they say
No, nobody has a parenting plan. And so children need, one, structure. These are the rules. These are the consequences, but these are the rewards. So a parenting plan involves all those aspects. And again, developmentally, it's going to differ depending on how old the child is. So here are your rules. You have to pick up your toys. I'm just making things up now. You have to pick up your toys. You can't be disrespectful to mom and dad. When we say turn the TV, you only get this much time on screen and on your phone or okay. So we write it down. We write down what the rules are, but we have a discussion. You and I have a discussion about it. Okay. Now, if you don't follow the rules, these are the consequences, such as you will lose your tablet time. You will, go to your room and have a timeout because you're not listening. You come up with different ideas about the consequences.
Let me ask you something about this specifically, which is, how do you develop or create consequences that are not all sort of negative acts of behavior? In other words, I'm going to take something away from you if you don't do it. You're going to be punished
It's
if you
not
don't do it.
punish, it's consequences. So we're not calling it
But
punishment.
how do you
because
tell a
we're going to have
5-year-old rewards?
rewards,
You
balance.
slipped that in there.
No, I said rewards are the third part. Rewards, I didn't slip it in. Rewards are the third part because now we have the reward system and we have the consequences. So we say, if you listen, you're going to get a star. And let's say 5 stars, then you get a reward. Well, the star is a reward, but then it's equal to we're going to go over here and go to the store and you're going to buy, or we're going to save up. This works beautifully.
Yeah.
Because you do need consequences. Otherwise, you're allowed to do whatever you want, run the home. We actually know not good for self-esteem or feeling safe for the child. The rewards say, you know what? I want that reward. So, wow, I got a star. I'm going to remember that. And I want to get another star. And then those stars are going to equal my reward, which I get to pick out a toy or whatever they decide. But this is a beautiful thing to do as a family, as a couple. But you do need to do it.
No argument. But here's a quote, an exception to the rules.
Okay, sure.
And this is from personal experience. So my son, who I only sort of later found out when he was growing up, ADHD. Okay. Now I know that we sort of live in a culture where people are throwing, you know, those titles around or whatever it was. But this is how it played itself out. He wouldn't do his homework. We get some message from school or whatever it is. Okay, so then what do? So there's a consequence. You take away the TV time. You take away the game time. You take away. Okay, we do all this stuff, but he continues to do this, thinking, well, I've run out of things to take away. And then I had an interesting lesson for myself. He had to do a project about the states. I think he was in the 5th grade. And he got, I'll never forget this, he got Colorado. Okay. So he sits down, he does the paper. He's a smart kid and thoughtful, and he does this paper. And I say to him, let's make 3 copies. I'll keep a copy, you keep a copy, you give one to the teacher. Okay? So we print out 3 copies. He takes them, he's excited, goes to school. 2 days later, I get a call from school. He's the only child in the class that didn't turn in his states paper. He didn't do it. So I say, respectfully, I know he did it. I saw it. I handed him the copy. I printed it out for him. I know he did it. He didn't hand it in. So he comes home, and I have this conversation, and he goes, I think I lost it. And so I didn't know what to do. So I just said I didn't do it. I look in his backpack, and on the very bottom, crushed up, is the states thing. Okay? Now, if I didn't realize it at that moment, if I hadn't played that out with him before, I would have found something else to take away, because why is he the only person in the classroom not doing the assignment? And then I realized this is not about not doing the assignment. And so I have to change my reward and consequence situation and my parenting approach to this problem.
Sure.
I can only beat a dead horse.
Right.
And it's not going to change. He's not going to suddenly go, oh, yeah, I must have put it somewhere. I know it's here.
Right.
His go-to was, I don't have it.
Right. Okay.
And take the punishment for it. And you know what I mean? Or the consequence for it. And I thought, this is a good lesson about parenting, about understanding something.
Yeah, no. What we're talking about a lot of times is maybe the bell curve, shall we call it, where it's going to work the majority of time. Now, what you're really talking about, and this is another very important subject about parenting, a lot of times now kids have disabilities. They have ADHD. They have on the spectrum. They have learning, they have dyslexia, but we don't know this.
Right.
So obviously, as parents, we do have to pay attention. As early as elementary school, it is being diagnosed now. And yes, we're not punishing kids because of, but we might end up doing it because we don't understand it yet.
Well, and I think it's out of our own frustration.
It is.
It's like, wait, I was a good student. Why aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a bad road to go down.
Know.
You know what I mean?
So, I mean, parenting is many things, right? But again, I'm going to say this, it causes conflict in relationships. So, as a couple, we got to work together. We got to be on the same page.
Right.
We have to discuss first our child, who that person is. Then we want to, again, like I said, as best as we can. Just because we come up with a parenting plan doesn't mean we can't be flexible with it and analyze it and look at it. But we got to have one anyway. So in case you're home with our child and Dad, sorry, son, up here it says you can't do that. So we have a go-to that we both can rely on. We also have, mothers tend to be less strict, not all the time, with their kids.
Funny, I think it's just
you think
the opposite.
Well, no, because
I think men are a soft touch.
Because mothers always tell me, a lot of women always tell me that let's just say this, they get the worst behavior. I think mothers get the worst behavior because a father's voice, the kid's like, or they won't try that with you, but they'll do it with me, right. And they'll like test my patience, but they're not going to mess with Dad because he has that voice. So so there it is, the differences between men and women, which is interesting. But if we have our little chart and we can always go, no, yes, you got to start, no. And it takes away that, I feel badly or I feel guilty or whatever. No, we just follow it. It gives us something to go to, that the child knows we're going there consistent. Consistency is so important.
Well, and maybe to take it one step further, the child can be involved in that set of rewards and consequences.
Absolutely.
That's how they, I think, buy into it.
Yes.
It's like the couples are the first stage, but then, to hand the child a manifesto.
Yes.
They don't own it, and it doesn't belong to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? But to say to them, hey, let's see if we can do some problem solving together.
Yeah.
This is important, and how do we make sure it gets done?
Yeah. So no, I love that idea, and you're absolutely correct, because you can go, what do you think your consequence should be? Sometimes they're going to come up with much worse.
That's right.
Much worse.
Beat me 10 times if I turn off the TV 2 minutes late. I
right.
know. It's like student council in college.
Right.
Throw them out, ban them forever from whatever.
But it's a good idea to let them participate with their own time. And what kind of rewards would you like? We can watch and see
what has some meaning for them.
But we also, I like that idea. Let's involve depending on how old they are. If they're like 3 years old, they're not going to
right. I want more ice cream.
More ice cream, right. And more ice cream. So let's work together. And I think developmentally, for a child maybe to participate, maybe 5, 6 and up, I think that would be a good age to do that.
Well, and also, it ties into them going to school, which also puts demands on them. When you are home, you are the center of the universe.
That's true.
In many ways.
That's right.
Then you get to school, and it is a real cold shower. You're 1 in 20. You're not special anymore. The world doesn't revolve around you. You want to get up to go to the bathroom, you actually have to raise your hand.
That's right.
You only eat at this hour. I mean, think about that. It's a total restructuring of your world.
Exactly.
Okay,
so we have our parenting chart, which again, you can sit down, talk. This can also bring us together as a couple. Now, what's interesting, you brought up a very interesting point, is where we talked about the child feeling left out, but now we can talk about the dad feeling left out because now mom has that symbiotic relationship, breastfeeding or whatever. Mothers tend to be with the children, even if there's a working mother, tend to be with the children more than the dad.
That maternal instinct.
Yeah. So do you want to address what the male or the father might feel like?
Well, I think you feel like the world has changed, and not necessarily in a good way.
Right.
And I think you have to sort of understand, that child is a sort of a larger set of needs than I have, or a different set. They have some immediacy, and I have to be able to sort of hold in check what I need. they really do at some point come first. That'll change over time.
Yes.
But when they are, infants, their demands really have to be addressed.
They absolutely do. But you come home, you're working, and I might be working too and very tired. Now we might start to get a little grouchy with one another because we're exhausted. And I'm going to tell you this, in today's world, we want everything. We want to give our children everything. We want to do everything. I see so many burnt out couples, they don't know what to do with themselves and they start to fight.
How many of those couples actually carve out some time to say, you know what, on Tuesday night, we're getting a babysitter, we're going out, whether it be for a walk in the park, whether it be for dinner, a movie, a karaoke night, something, just something that we can do together.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's also a little, I'm sure, disappointing for the man, the dad, that the woman's body has changed, and we understand after we give birth and all the things, breastfeeding, it is draining. Our bodies are different, we're different, and we might actually, the maternal instinct is now coming out so big in us that this baby becomes that love focus, that our desire to be sexually active with our partner probably is going to decrease. And I know that can be disappointing. And then when is the right time, when sex can be reintroduced into the relationship?
Well, maybe also, you always come back to communication. And I think this is one of those times it is incredibly important that both people in this couple are sort of honest and candid with each other.
Exactly.
Some things you can change, some things you can address, some things you can't right now.
That's right.
But will change over time. Some, I think test the bonds of good, strong relationships. It's like we have endured many things along the way. This is yet another kind of adventure. And if you look at it that way, I think that you stay hopeful and you stay thoughtful. If you look at it as a burden,
right,
you're going to start to, one, resent the child, two, resent the other person in the relationship, and then it starts to go back and forth, and you are in real trouble.
You are in real trouble. So I really encourage that the woman, take her time and check in with herself and see how her body is, and maybe be able to explain to her husband, which he probably realizes anyway, this is what's happening, but that, let's check back in 6 weeks. Let's see how I feel. Like you're saying, let me see what's going on with me now. And so, maybe that's a possibility rather than, nope, cut off. Don't even talk to me about it. I'm too tired. It's too much for me.
That is a path to real trouble.
I know.
I think you have to work hard, just like you're working hard to be a thoughtful parent. You work hard to be a partner in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And you can't live by, when we first met, it was love and lust, and it was just the two of us, and you're up until 4 a.m. and you do all. That's fine, but that's history.
That's history.
Now you are different. Not better, not worse, different.
Yeah,
and if you choose to be a parent, you have to understand, and maybe that comes back to how you started, the communication beforehand, which is, we're going into this and things are going to change.
They are going to change.
And if both of us are aware of that, it'll make the change more palatable to deal with, because we're going to be frustrated along the way. We're going to be left out along the way. We're going to have our differences along the way, and that's okay. That just can strengthen a relationship, or it can push you right out the door.
And not to get discouraged about the relationship, even if,
it's exciting. It's a challenge.
It is. And our love for our child is like a love you just don't even know until you have your own child. It's the most beautiful thing. Absolutely. But we do want to keep the relationship, like you were saying, vibrant and alive. So I think even if could be first child. Now we have 2 children. I'm back to work. You're working. I'm exhausted. You're exhausted. The children are, mom, dad, demand, demand, demand. We have to still figure out that our couple's relationship is important.
Yes.
And I tell couples also, during the week, as busy as it is, and these are couples with children, when they go to bed or have a special time, it could be 10 minutes. 10 minutes can make a big difference when you're in that developmental stage of no time exhaustion. 10 minutes where you and I are just sitting down. We're not talking about the children. We are sharing something as a couple that's important. Like, oh my God, you are the best father, or I just love when, appreciations, acknowledgments, refresh your relationship so you can feel like, I still see you. You still see me. We still love each other.
Incredibly important.
It's so important. If we don't do that, it's just like everybody's mad with everybody and blame and pointing
and frustrated.
I have no time for this. What do you want from me? It's just not healthy. We got 10 minutes. I'm not kidding. 10 minutes can freshen up a relationship.
And you know what? The other piece of that is that each of us has committed to the 10 minutes. It's like a statement that you make. This is important.
And it's something to look forward to besides just the children this, the children that.
Agreed.
If we're lucky and we have first we got to afford babysitting. That's okay. I'm going to tell you all the things about babysitting that I know about. We got to afford it. A lot of parents, mothers don't trust people. I'm telling you, I come across this. They're like, no, my child, no, I'm not leaving my child with that one, this one, that one. Okay, so if we're lucky to have our parents or in-laws live in the vicinity, we want to use parents or aunts and uncles, right, to help us. If you have that, use them. They're looking forward to, helping you out. But I don't even think couples even think about this. They just go to work, come home, take care of the children, go to work, come home, over and over. And we got to try to use somebody to help us have a little romance, a little getaway. One more thing. I know when I was having my children, we went on vacation with the babies. My son was in France. He was in Israel. No, he was in Israel, 9 months old. He was in France, 2 years old. People don't even want to put their children on a plane, go anywhere with them. We can't go. No, you can go anywhere. Yeah. Again, if that's what you want to do, don't feel like you're limited. You know what, Michael? I also think what's very important with couples and being parents is that we allow ourselves to have separate lives, that we don't always have to do everything together. And even with children, it's important. Now, let's talk about it in 2 parts. One is, what do I do for myself? To go out with girlfriends, get my nails done, anything that, play softball. So that's what I like to do, but I did that. And then number 2, how do we come together, even though you do your thing, I do my thing, and we don't get resentful from one another?
I think it actually starts before children ever arrive, which is, how can you be in a good, healthy relationship, spend time with each other, really meaningful time, and then at the same time do some things separately? See, I always find when I'll see couples who are just like attached, like enmeshed, to me, it's always a little trouble for many reasons. One, you can't ever breathe without the other one standing over your shoulder.
Right.
And it becomes very possessive. And then if heaven forbid you do something without them, they're hurt. They're resentful. It's like you're pulling away.
Right.
As opposed to, you know what? We need to be 2 healthy individuals. We're a couple and strong. And at the same time, we do things separately.
We do things,
and it's not taking away from the couple, it's strengthening the couple.
It does, and we shouldn't feel guilty about it. I know, and we could go on separate vacations. Like if I want to go off and see my girlfriends, you get to watch the children, and vice versa. I don't have to be any problem about that. That's perfectly fine. And it's fun to do.
You know, there's a group of friends I have since kindergarten, and we get together twice a year. And then somebody asked us once, well, are the wives invited? And we all looked and said, why would we want to spoil a nice vacation?
You know, wives, don't take that personally.
well,
right,
because
but, you want to do your guy stuff.
We'll mention a name. We'll all laugh. Right, it's like old stories.
Right.
When you are with, your spouse, your partner,
right.
Then you have to go, well, you don't know them and they mean nothing to you. And then you have to explain this, and you're always like rolling your eyes and not telling them the whole story. Right. And some things are better left to history, And so, I think we've always had a rule, which is, we come to a city, the partner who lives with the person we're staying with is involved and fun and knows to be in and out. But this is not a couple's retreat.
Right.
It's just, that's how it is. And then you come back refreshed. You come back
so refreshed,
laughing and had fun and carried on. And now you're back to the partnership.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be threatening at all. It can, like you said, refresh the relationship. Tell me all about it. I want to hear all about what you did. Or, okay, this is what I did. I had the best. And you know what? A lot of times women want to do very different things than what men want to do. And that's that's a good thing too.
Totally.
That I can go off with my girl. We go to the spa or go out to eat a lot, and whatever you guys like to do.
It's true. And my wife would like roll her eyes and go, oh, you guys had a good time. And I go, we had a great time.
I love
you have to appreciate that.
Absolutely. So being in a couple's relationship and being parents, as we've talked about today, have so many different facets. It is complicated, and that's again why it can lead to bad conflict, resentment, and the worst thing in the world is to have resentment.
Oh, it's corrosive. It builds up,
corrosive.
And it comes out in all kinds of ways, and just really debilitating. You know what I mean? The other piece, I was sort of laughing to myself. It's like a Hollywood expression. Even easy isn't easy. And, oh yeah, this will be easy. We'll do this. As soon as I hear that, I like roll my eyes thinking, nothing is easy. Everything has to be really thought through. You can be spontaneous, but you have to understand it's going to be compromised. It's going to be demands on you that weren't before. It's about growing and changing.
Changing.
You're not 20. You're not a free agent anymore just to do what you want in the world. You have different demands.
I love what you just said, growing and changing, because again, when we say that I do to you as husband and wife, I do to you as parents. Developmentally, throughout our time together, we are going to grow and change. And if we try to just hold on so tightly to what was, we're going to lose out, and it's going to be hard. And now, guess what? Our children are growing and changing, and one day they leave the home, don't they?
Well, yes. The other piece, by the way, and this is a bigger conversation, is we're role modeling something for them also. So when they get to be to the point of wanting to be in relationships, we have shown them what a healthy relationship can look like. It takes work. It takes a sense of humor. It takes a lot of things. And if they can walk away understanding that, then we've really given them a gift.
And you know what? I just thought of one more thing about parenting and with children. And that is, it's really important that as the father, you spend time with your daughter separate from me. As the mother, I spend time with my son separate from you. That each child, or it could be two daughters, two sons, it doesn't matter, that each parent spends time separately, not just always together, that we each form our own individual relationship with our children. They cherish that.
Oh, agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, it's so
There
wonderful.
are times it's like, a parent is talking to a child, the other parent then comes in and you see the kid like roll their eyes thinking, don't the two of us ever have a minute without you always being here?
Right.
And I think it's a point well taken.
I really forgot about that point, and I think it's so important that we take time out to spend time by ourselves with our children so they feel they have that special and we feel it too. And then if they come, could you give me some advice? Well, sometimes mom might have the advice they want, sometimes dad. But then again, father to daughter, mother to son is so important too, to have that.
I think it's just the way that another aspect of how kids learn.
They do. It's another aspect, and it's all about love and being seen. And you might see the individual child different than I might see them when we spend our time together, and they're going to get something from you that they can't get from me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Agreed. I think we role model and we help them become responsible adults.
All around, we are role models as parents, for sure. Well, this was a great discussion today. I love
interesting, very thoughtful.
Really. And, here's to my parents who are no longer, and what I got from them, separately, together, I really have brought into my own, what I try to share with my children. How about you?
I agree with you. I can't thank my parents enough for what they gave me. They were not necessarily psychologically sophisticated.
Right.
They were loving and they were caring and they gave me whatever they could give me. And I fully appreciate that forever.
And I can vouch for this guy. He's a great guy. I've known him for 40 years. I've known him in all different...
You have to send my parents a thank you note.
I'll send them right now. All right. Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure.